Okay, I hope so. Everyone can see the slide. So basically, this is the event which held on the 6th of April and at the night time in Taiwan time. The Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation and the Earth Day Network working together to have a virtual dialogue honoring tradition keepers and change agents as Earth Day turned 50. And the dialogue will explore how people of faith and faith-based organizations are addressing climate change by safeguarding tradition and striving to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. And usually all the panelists will meet at the meeting place to communicate. But due to the COVID-19, this meeting was conducted through video conference, where all panelists, moderator, and the participants were at their own house and go online. The 4 panelists first one is Dr. Grace Jin Sing Kim, and she served as a member of the working group on climate change for the World Council of Churches. And the second one is Marshall Xiao, and he is the R&D specialist for Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation. The third panelist is Rachel Fried, who is the Vice President and Chief Program Officer for the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. And the fourth one is Dr. Irad Abu Mokli, which is Director of the Faith for Earth Initiative of the United Nations Environment Program. I'm not too sure how many of you have go online on that day, but anyone who have chance to be online that night will see this on the screen before the event starts. So this year, Earth Day is 50 years old. The Tzu Chi Foundation, which has gone through half of a century. As you know, our wish is to purify people's minds, wish the society to be harmony and peace, also wish there will be no suffering in the world. But due to massive outbreak of COVID-19, Earth Day Network invites monastics in the abroad to pray for peace for the world. Originally, it was only arranged for me, Yuan, to pray in English and lead the participants to pray through the online video conference. Anyway, Dharma Master Cheng shows kindness and look forward to confronting the epidemics with more pious heart, and wish that monastics in the abroad must also exert a calming heart. For this purpose, we specially arrange prayer in the main hall. So this is a historical moment. On that night, for the first time, the monastic in the abode led evening prayer. And Dharma Master Cheng said that this is a good thing and is our responsibility. Although at 8:30 p.m. in the evening usually is our nighttime diligent moment, but this video conference is of extraordinary significance. In addition to being Taiwan's first connection with the United Nations and the International Climate Organization, there are also 2 religious representatives. So, in fact, all the Sifu have gathered at the main hall before 8:15 in the evening. I was so touched on that day, and everyone sit upright waiting quietly, and I can feel the sense of tranquility as well. So you can see all of them sit at a safe distance, wall around and a mask, praying for peace for the earth. Everyone has a thought in their mind and hope that all beings will stay away from suffering. And Dharma Master Cheng said to us, at this time, Buddhism must appease people's hearts and to smooth the fearful soul of all beings. And the monastic in the abode leads the public to devote to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, to pray for world peace and stay away from suffering. And the song we used was Love and Care for All, and in English. As all of you know, the most of the Sifu over in the abroad do not understand English. As such, in the main hall, we do display Chinese relics as well. Although there are two languages being heard, but we can feel the harmony in the main hall. So this is also the first time that Tzu Chi United Nations Task Force has arranged a live video of the United Nations, an international conference video within the abroad through an online platform. So 8:30 in the evening Taiwan time, and was 8:30 in the morning in the United States, with a time difference of 12 hours, but there was no second difference. So over here, as you can see, that these are the people who will participate, and also some of them are panelists, and some of them are the person who involved. So after the meeting, we do receive feedback from the participants that they are so touched to see so many Sifu, and they can feel the sincerity from all of us. And I did not elaborate more about the conference, but I would like to go straight away to the question that they have asked that day. For the question 1, what can religion do about climate change? Dr. Grace Ji Sang Kim answered, religious people's behavior is limitless, just like Tzu Chi's investment and contribution. Can it be measured by numbers? Faith is not a set of standards for doing things, but a test of human nature. And so is Jesus suffering for the world. Changing together means doing something. And the second question is, can humans really change their behavior and stop environmental destruction? Dr. Yuan answered, as long as human beings change their attitudes and mentality, such as reducing consumption and even changing their lifestyle. This is faith. Believe what you believe, since science proves that the earth is injured. As long as we are willing to change, we can improve the environment based on our belief. The same question, Brother Marshall replied, vegetarian is the best and most scientific change. New coronavirus phenomenon, a virus, has changed the way of human life. Man cannot win the sky. Man cannot try to master the world because the world is with us. This in Chinese is 人无法胜天. The four major irregularities are the reaction of the people. So 四大不调也是因为人心. So the conclusion of the whole event is that the key to change the environment is people's mind. So the biggest rationale among the participants and the panelists are the earth is sick due to human desire. History for thousands of years, multiple religions are believed that human nature is good, but good and evil are thought of war. The power of religious belief can improve the environment as long as the strength of goodness come together. As we know that Dharma Master Cheng always tell us, if we take good care of our mind, our behavior and conduct will be upright. So do good things, speak good words, and have kind thoughts. For the whole event, the participants, we have about 400 people online, and which come from a lot of countries. There's US, Taiwan, India, Nepal, Singapore, and Malaysia, and etc. And also, there's about 6 major religions who are involved. But we would like to especially thank to the Tzu Chi United Nations Task Force, Sister Yang Yuxiang. She is in fact also from Malaysia, and she is from Lhasa. And the team continue to break through the time difference and coordinate this online meeting. This is the first time and a good opportunity to promote learning between Tzu Chi peoples and the world. As just now we can see on the conclusion, the key to changing the environment is people mindsets. So on that day, in the morning volunteer assembly, Dharma Master did tell us, 新冠肺炎如连珠，扩散全球如走珠. So maybe can be translated in English is COVID-19 is like a strong beats. It spread around the world and move in rapid speed. Like beats keep rolling and spreading further out. And also, Dharma Master Cheng said that 4 principles to live by during the coronavirus crisis. First, we must pray with sincere piety for the pandemic to end. Second, we must sow more blessing. To end the pandemic, we need to do good and sow more blessing. We must harbor love and respect. We need to respect and love one another with gratitude, cherish all life, and protect animals with love. And fourth, we must tame our minds by overcoming our greed and desires. I hope we can all live by these 4 principles. This is how we pray and sow blessing to end the pandemic. We must all give with love and care. And Dharma Master Cheng also said, with this pandemic every day I feel like the sky seems to be falling down. It is very strenuous and I'm very worried. I hope Tzu Chi volunteers can be mindful in giving me support and sincerely coming together to pray for the well-being of the world. Let us pray for peace and safety and create more blessing for all. And last, I would like to ask everyone, we can together to read it out. Working together to mitigate disasters. The minds of unenlightened beings are in constant turmoil, lost in delusion. They create karma. I hope to lead everyone to engage in repentance, give rise to sincerity, protect all living things, follow a vegetarian life diet, and pray for peace on earth. To end my sharing, I wish everyone be well and happy and wish everyone saw more blessing.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks to Master Yuan for the sharing. I was there that day. I was also online that day, and it was indeed very special, especially to see all the monastics, nuns doing the prayer. I think it's something that definitely had this shake around the world. When people see it, it has this sense of magnificent prayer, that the magnificent isn't just in its sense of how many people, but the sense of serenity, the sense of sincerity. You know, it's really special. And we do this every day, and we sort of take it for granted. But around the world, people don't really see that, and I think it's important that we do to realize the magnitude of this. So we're going to go into QA for the remaining 15 minutes. And these are the questions that were posed before, and we never had time to get through, which I really do apologize. We had always established that wherever there's any question, and we try to present the response. Okay, they are not really answers, but they're response to how we can think of it this way. Before we go into question 2, let's move on to question 3 first. And the first 2 questions are all talking about Sariputra, which is 舍利佛. And 舍利佛, as we all know, is foremost in wisdom, 智慧第一. And we all believe that it is something that was always mentioned. You always talk about the 10 disciples. You always start with 舍利佛. And to me, attributes that each person has. So imagine, we also have the wisdom. We also have the 神通 or the supernatural powers. So whether it was 智慧第一, 神通第一, or 这个多闻第一, we all have this. It's all in all of us, but in different scales. Sometimes we have more wisdom. Sometimes we listen to it more. Sometimes we do me show more, like we do our own things and we don't let anybody know. That's what we do, okay? So I think it's talking about the 10 different parts of a person. It's also talking about our cultivation. So it's 10 different people, but it's also talking about 10 different attributes of a person. Now let's look at question 3. So knowing that, having that in mind, question 3, it talks about the particular story. Okay, so I need to really first comment on how everyone is so diligent, right? So when we're rewatching the video, it talks about all these stories, and that's why that's why we're having this response. So why would Shariputra felt the comments harshly when it is about Rahula and not him? And I think this is something that this particular story, okay, this particular story, I believe, was about Rahula, and at the time Rahula was very, very young, and he was the student of Shariputra. Rahula was also the son of the Buddha, okay? And so I think the story was when, I think there was one day when he was scolded, Rahula was scolded by Shariputra for saying things that weren't quite true, okay? It was scolded, and so, and this, when the complaint came from Rahula to the Buddha about not being able to eat or not being able to give him food, then Buddha lightly and gently told Shariputra that perhaps, the child, the kid, is having these childish or these rebellious times. So take it easy, cultivation is important, but you also need to take care of your diet, your eating. And so Shariputra felt that he was wronged. He was doing what a teacher should be doing, and he was wronged by the Buddha. So he was very upset, and there were times that he just turned and he just refused to eat. So it goes to show you that even for someone who is foremost in wisdom, still gets stuck in these quandaries in people's mind. And that goes to tell you, out of the 10 attributes that a person might have, yes, we have 10 of these superpowers that we all have, but sometimes we'll still get stuck. For most of it, it's most of the time. We still get stuck with our ignorance and our afflictions, just like Shariputra. Before we attain enlightenment, before we do any of that, we are still ordinary beings. Sometimes we have flashes of greatness, like wisdom, but most of the time we have shows of affliction. So it's not that, it just shows you that he is still very much afflicted, even though he is very wise. So like what Master De Yuan said, we know, we understand, we have the knowledge that the Earth Day is talking about the resources on Earth. But we also couldn't help it to control ourselves to do the right things. We couldn't do the right things, even though we know what the right things are. So, and that's the issue. Shariputra is very wise. He knows what's the right thing, but he still commits the wrong things. And that's the gap between knowing and doing. And that is still very, very, very clear in these stories. And if you know, most of the stories about Shariputra is always negative. There's, I think, only 1 or 2 stories that Master talks about Shariputra, or coming out of the sutra text or the ancient stories that are positive about him. For example, when he was seeking a master, that story was very positive, right? And there were other stories that there were some stories that are positive, but most of the stories that you heard, like for example, he was a snake, and he was, doing all these things. Most of the stories that we heard, he was a counterexample to what should be a good thing. Okay, so that tells you, yes, he is wise. Yes, he is very intelligent. And yes, he's very dedicated, but he's still very afflicted. And that's the whole key, is that towards the end, on the last 7 years, 42 to 49 years of the preaching by the Buddha, that was the time. It took that long. And it took years and years and years for him, and lifetime after lifetime, to finally get it. And then finally said, okay, now I give you the prediction that you're going to be the future Buddha. Okay, so coming back to this question, So why is he, being the foremost disciple in wisdom, still can't attain great vehicle in the early years? It's not because I really believe that attaining great vehicle, it's not just having wisdom, right? Wisdom is only half the path. It's like you're walking on one leg. You need to do, you need to walk, you need to actually do and commit to these things. And he probably didn't know it, and that's why it was difficult. But when he finally realized that Bodhisattva path is the path, that's when he began to accelerate. That's when he began to know that it's not just prediction, it's not just for the future Buddhas, for other Bodhisattvas, but also for me, for everybody as well. So I think these two questions are linked. It goes to show you that even if you have the 10 disciples, and they're always part of the examples, like for example, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 4 in the Lotus Sutra, they are at the forefront of all the stories, but they are still very much afflicted. Just like us, we have all of these 10 super powers, okay? We have them, but because of our affliction, it just goes away. We are afflicted still, okay? So that's my answer that's my response for the first two questions. Remember, we can also be the 10 disciples, but most of the time we exhibit the signs of an afflicted Sariputra. We have the wisdom, but we choose not to use them. We choose to get stuck in these afflictions. So coming to question number 3, and this is something that I really want to spend more time about. There's the next question is, how long is a kalpa? And I did a calculation, but I think we're going to save that for next time, okay? But I wanted to focus more on this question, okay? So the question is, the heart ached when thinking about that master could not resume Lotus Sutra, but at the same time, thinking if this is the right time to feel such. Why? Why is there a conflict? Because the present situation is so challenging, and with the era getting more turbid, maybe one should not expect to hear the balanced chapter live. So the balanced chapters are the continue, the chapter 21 on, okay? But there are still so many great chapters yet to be expounded, and have great faith. It will benefit many if this could be completely expounded. So the heart is troubled, right? So the person asking this question, I'm certain, really want to hear the new chapters. But it's also understanding that the situation that we have here at hand is not just how much do you want to hear it, or how much it could happen. But let me share with you what happened in the year 2009. So 2009 was the year that I believe it first began. The introductory chapter, 2009, okay? And I remember that was the first time I came back to the abode. I haven't moved back here yet. 2009 was the first year that it began. And I remember I was only here for a meeting. I didn't move back here yet. And it was great listening to Master live, right? So the day that I was leaving, I had a chance to see Master, and that was before any vows were made. That was before anything. I saw Master, and I had a chance to say to Master that I heard the morning Dharma talk. I was really it was really powerful. I really felt that it was very 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 important, and I learned a lot, right? So it was a true and honest and sincere great gratitude for Master. And on that day, Master said, it is so different for the person that speaks than the person that listens. And I had no idea what she was talking about. And she said, on the stage, I was there almost having a heart attack. My heart was closing up and I almost couldn't breathe. You guys didn't see or feel any of that, right? So I just felt really, really, really sad in that we are enjoying this moment of Dharma at the expense of Master's health and physical body. We are having all this enjoyment at the cost of Master having to giving her health and body and will herself to do all of this. So, and in 2010, when I finally chose to come back, it continued on, but in very short time, Master took a break. She stopped. There was about I think 15 months that Master did not come out to give morning Dharma talks. That was in 2010. So 29 began, but 2010 there was a huge, I think it was 15 months, more than a year. Master didn't come out. Just like recently, how you feel, right? Lunar 1st and Lunar 15, she would come out. And then what happened? 2011, we probably remember, right? 2011 was Syria. And there was also the tsunami in Japan. Many big things happened. What else also happened in 2011? 2011 was also the Great Repentance. If you all remember, people that year, everyone has almost gone, I don't want to say crazy, but they're out of control, right? Everybody, everywhere, they're practicing their steps, they're practicing their sign language, they're singing. And many people that day, that year, took upon vegetarian because it was required. If you want to be in it, you had to get at least 108 days of vegetarian diet, okay? So the entire Taiwan at that time, in the first part of 2011, it was all about doing this. And then the latter part of 2011, it was began to spread out to different countries, including eventually 2012, Malaysia, and also Singapore. Everybody started, right? Everybody continued. But it started in Taiwan in 2011. And what happened? In August was the time when we had, starting with, in May, it was in Hualien first. And then in August, we had the official one. And I think at that time, the 4-in-1 retreat also came back to Taiwan to participate, to watch it live on stage. And so we had Taipei, Kaohsiung, and Taichung, and Hualien. So the major places, we all had these major performance of the Sutra of Repentance. And then in August, when it was all done and over, Master continued the Lotus Sutra. And I always believe that for something this major to continue, you need a group of people with such sincerity and piety that is so strong that would only overcome all this karma that is stopping the Master from giving the talk. And let me tell you that Master, in the past 2 trips out to Taiwan, always talks about how she couldn't come back the next time. Everybody is thinking about her health. Everybody is thinking about, no, Master, you'll be still with us, right? Guess what? If COVID-19 continues, the trip around Taiwan in June might be canceled. And it wasn't because of Master's health. It's because of our karma. So remember, even when you want to listen to the sutra, even when you want to listen to the principles, if our karma is stronger, if our yeri is so much stronger than our willingness to listen and our vows, it's not going to happen. So it's not Master leaving us. It's the fact that she's still here, we're still here, but we just can't hear it because we are not blessed. We don't have enough of this fu bao to listen to Master. And that's something that we need to change. We need to make great vows to overcome the karma. Otherwise, everybody would still be there, but it would just not happen, okay? Because the affinity and the conditions are not there. So once again, it's not about you wanting, or maybe we should, or maybe we shouldn't. It's not about that. If everybody collectively, the vow is greater, then this will happen. And recently we had a chance to go back to chapter 11, the chanting, go back to chapter 11, when the great stupa, if you remember, the great stupa came out of the ground on chapter 11 of Lotus Sutra. And then I really think that it's linked, right? It's always linked. Chapter 10 is when Buddha talks about needing more people to pass on the Dharma. Chapter 11 talks about if you don't pass on the Dharma, this is what happens. That the karma is so strong that the Buddha just didn't have an opportunity to even expound the great Dharma. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. So that's why the Duobao Fo from the past had no chance to expound the Dharma. we are stuck in between now, right? We're stuck in between. We're not yet done. We have it, but we're not complete. For 多宝佛, he had no chance. It wasn't because he didn't want to. It was because the karma was the burden of the karma was so heavy that even if we wanted to, there was no opportunity. So now we're stuck in between. We're stuck in between having 20 chapters completed, but not 28. Why? Because now the balance is now off. So now we must do more to pull it. So now there's more weight on the side of the Dharma. How do we do that? Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, let's gather everybody online to listen, to hear what is going on. Master, eventually, I think at around maybe 10 or 11, it's going to come out and hear and speak to all of us online. There are already 5 languages that will be translated. So language is not going to be an excuse. There's always going to be online, YouTube links. There's also going to be all these different ways for you to hear the Dharma, for you to hear the sharings. There's no reason not to. So I'm calling out to everybody, okay? This is the time when we collectively show that the vow is greater than the karma. So that's the only way that the chapters will be able to resume. Just like in 2011. We didn't know at the time, but it happened. Now, in retrospect, now we understand why it happened. And we sort of understand why it's not happening right now. So, calling out to everybody. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, put away all the things you're supposed to be doing. Well, no, the only thing you're supposed to be doing is this. Is to come and listen and show the support and really follow what Master Tzu Yuan said, the 4 things that we need to do, right? Pray sincerely and always thinking about 感恩尊重生命爱. These are the things that Master already lined out for us. We just need to do it, okay? So that's my response for these 3 questions. And eventually, if we have more in the future, we're gonna come back to the next question, which is how long is a kalpa? Thank you, and remember, call out to everybody, the people you know, the people you don't know. You can tell them too, that on April 12th, tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, something very important is happening. And that might be the time that we can tip the balance toward karma and not so much, toward Dharma, not so much on karma, but positive Dharma to make this strength, to make the voices heard. Okay? Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow online. Okay? Thanks. And that's my sharing for today.
A very diligent sister, very passionate in Master's teaching, Shinpasya, and also very hardworking in Tzu Chi activities. Over to you, Sister Jing Jing. Okay, Gan. Jing Jing. Okay, Gan.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Xin Qing from Singapore. Thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to share today. I'm working as a family practitioner in the Tzu Chi primary care clinic in Singapore. So today I'm going to share about some of my thoughts and reflections about the COVID-19 situation. So when I received the invitation on 21st March to share, we only had 432 positive cases in Singapore. But 3 weeks down the road, as of yesterday, our numbers have jumped 5 times to 2,100 patients, and is still on the rising trend. So as you can see, the situation is evolving very rapidly and it's very worrisome. So I don't know if I actually can make out any reflections out of this situation. I'm still trying to adapt, trying to learn, but I'll share as much as I can, and hopefully it's in line with Master's teachings as well. Using some videos to make it a little bit more lighthearted. So let's move on. Yeah, so as we have all seen these alarming figures throughout the world, the numbers are still increasing exponentially. And right now, I think for the past 2 months, there have been so much tragedy happening in front of our eyes that it's impossible to not to feel anything about it. Perhaps fear, perhaps sadness and all. So as a millennial growing up in Singapore, this is probably the first crisis that I have felt in my life. We've always been very well taken care of, to be grateful for that. And I think for a lot of people over the world as well, nobody actually predicted that COVID-19 would explode in such a way across the globe. So here's a video to show from Frozen 2, the animation, to show how I actually view the COVID-19 or what's happening around the world now. I think various people, we are reacting in different ways to this situation. Maybe some people are facing the dead end, some people are fighting the fire. A lot of things are going on. So I hope this will make sense to us when we are older, or perhaps we should try to make sense of the situation now, aligned with Master's teachings. So for myself, it was kind of like a shock that suddenly we are at the front line and we are supposed to keep everybody safe. We are supposed to save everybody from the virus. I truly, I don't think anyone is kind of prepared for that, I guess. And not just for the healthcare workers. I think a lot of people, they are actually also have to face the difficulties, like staying home is one of the characteristic feature, which is a way to protect ourselves from being the vectors of the virus. And a lot of people are throughout the world are being locked down and they are actually struggling with this. And what more, the homeless who don't actually have a home to protect themselves. So what can we do about it? And throughout this experience, I think it is a lesson for us. It's a chance to see human behavior. I think throughout the whole world, you can see how people actually try to cope with this situation. And one of the things that was striking to me as a doctor in primary care is like what you see in the article here, that people don't actually disclose their exposures or their symptoms. So even in triage, when we ask them to sign, and we tell them that there's legality involved, they still do not disclose until they reach the doctor's room. And sometimes they might not be so well gowned up and prepared to receive them, and they might have already mixed with other patients. So this is something that got me thinking. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why is this happening. I don't think anyone actually truly wants to lie. Yeah, but a lot of times perhaps it's fear, is the unknown that prompted them to behave in this way. And perhaps I don't know, sometimes I do feel angry or disappointed with certain behavior that I'm seeing. But let us come back to what Master has been teaching us about gratitude, love, and respect. How can we bring forth this kind of qualities, and how can we see things in align with this direction instead of the negative kind of perception. So instead of anger and a lot of frustration and all, perhaps we can try to embrace our enemy, bring forth our innate Buddha nature to face this crisis. So I think, frankly speaking, perhaps the virus is just as terrified of the situation as us, because we are not the natural vectors for such viruses, and it's probably because we humans ventured into the wildlife too much, and they had accidentally jumped onto us, and now it's been spreading around like wildfire. So I think this video actually give us some insight into how we can actually view this virus. Perhaps is as cute as this little creature Bruni here, and maybe when we face it with love and care, the fire would simmer off on its own, like what we see in the video. And also perhaps this virus is here to teach us a lesson and give us a direction in our life. So we've all seen these images. The oxygen, the pollution levels have dropped tremendously during the lockdown, and our earth is healing. So prior to COVID, I think we've all been closely watching the Australia's forest fire, and I think a lot of people actually feel for it because of the cute little koala bears who had to sacrifice their lives because of the effects of global warming and natural disasters happening all over us, all over the world. And the ongoing tragedy for decades, the human holocaust, the animal holocaust, sorry, not just now, but it's been happening for a long time, and many animals have lost their lives. So Master had been teaching us and reminding us that every second 2,400 animals are being slaughtered for food, and it's just because of our greed that we wanted to have a taste of their flesh. And I think let's take a moment to take in this fact. I don't think that it's still terrifying and it's still horrible to to understand this situation, I think. And there was once when I was praying during this COVID-19 situation, and when I felt strongly that actually the nature is actually taking its revenge on us because we've done so much wrong to them. And I plead to them to let us off and not continue to harm so many people, because I don't think that we can really take it anymore. There are so many people dying, and economies are crashing. And suddenly the thought came to me that if they really show us compassion and let us off this time, will we let them off in the future? Will we stop taking their lives? And I think, frankly speaking, at this moment, I cannot be so sure. So we do have to collectively address this in order for the harm to be stopped, I think. And so some people have realized that the earth is healing, and plot twist, maybe we were the virus all along in the earth, right? So we were the bad guys, not the animals. And when Planet B finally comes to the rescue to rescue all our poor little beings, will they say no humans, because we have been destroying Earth so much that Planet B doesn't want us on it, and will we be destroyed due to this fact? I think it is something for us all to reflect, and truly we have to change our ways. Yeah, so there have been a lot of talk that because of the pandemic, the climate crisis will improve, but the small print is that chances are that it will not happen. Looking at our track record on the right, the graph, with every financial crisis, there's actually a decrease in the emissions, carbon emissions, but shortly after it rises up in the same trend, which is very scary. So humans don't really have a very good track record. Our environment activist Greta has also come out to remind us that we cannot forget about the climate crisis, and even more so now when we can see that close link between these two crises that we are facing now. Yes, so I think we already have the know-how. We in Tzu Chi, we have been advocating how to save the earth. Actually, very simple steps: just save water, go vegetarian, and bring our own recyclable items so that we don't have to use up so much resources. And we do know how to protect ourselves from the COVID virus as well. It's also very simple: wash our hands frequently. And then to protect ourselves, avoid contact with other people when we are unwell. And these are all very basic, simple things on both sides. But the question is, why is it still happening? Why are the infection numbers still exponentially rising? And why is our climate crisis not seeing any signs of improvement? So I think this is really something that we need to reflect on, and reflect deeply, like what Master say, to repent. And I think I'm still thinking and trying to learn why, what are the barriers for myself and for others? Why are we not changing as fast as is required of us when the actions are actually not that drastic? Sorry, I understand that the YouTube participants are unable to view the video due to copyright issues, because it's actually from Frozen 2, so you can all go ahead to watch the movie to find out more. So anyway, what I learned from this story is that really, I think we really need to wake up, like what Master is trying to tell us to do, to wake up to our ways, wake up to the things that we find that might be, our habits, our old ways. Maybe perhaps they are not really the right thing to do. And yeah, so for me, I have been a vegetarian for 15 years. And I think this COVID issue did get me thinking. And finally, I've decided to become a vegan, which is, I think, another step towards doing the right thing in view of what is happening to our planet now and to all our animals. Although it is not an easy thing to do, I would say. So, okay, I'll skip this video, but basically it's this little girl who actually advocates staying at home. And even though she's really sad that she has to stay at home, but she knows that she's doing it to protect her family members from catching the viruses. If not, she'll be all alone. And the thing is, at the end of the video, you can see her smiling that when she said she'll stay at home. And I think it is not an easy realization, but I do sense that kind of joy as well. Sometimes when I choose to do the right thing, for example, like bring reusable plastic bags or climb the stairs instead of taking the lift, I think these are small little steps that we can do. And even though they might be very inconvenient, they might be very troublesome, but when you do it, you have a sense of joy that you cannot get from other things, from material things. And of course, in Tzu Chi, we need to spread the good word. So in our clinic, we try to educate our patients that they need to stay at home, especially when they are unwell. And we give them a little card to remind them. And also earlier in January, when I was seeing what's happening in Wuhan, I set up this 14-day vegetarian pledge. And of course, a lot of people who pledge are our Tzu Chi brothers and sisters who are already vegetarians. But I think we do need to take small little steps to try to encourage people to do the right thing when it is, we cannot expect everybody to convert immediately. Yes, and just to share a lesson from Jing when I was there last September. The picture on the left is a flower that one of the Venerable Masters actually pointed out that there is a flower within the flower. So can you see the petals within the flower? I think, the flower is so small, and I'm surprised that Master actually noticed it. And I've been looking at this photo for a long time. It is really a very beautiful sight. So the trip to Jingsi Abode really taught me to learn how to appreciate the nature that's around me. So on the right is the Instagram account I've created to actually take photos of the little bits of nature that is around me, be it flowers or trees and all. Yeah, so that I hope that myself and the people around me, we can start to appreciate Mother Earth. And I think only when we truly love the things around us, nature, animals, that I don't think it will be possible for us to want to harm them. So I have a video about animal rights and vegetarianism. It's about 2 minutes long, and I hope there's no copyright issue. Yeah, okay, so it's called Casa de Carne.
Welcome to Casa de Carne. We take the dining experience full circle. Who'd like to start?
I'll have the baby back ribs, please.
Oh, the ribs, amazing.
First time?
Yes.
Excellent choice. Follow me.
Good luck. We'll be after.
Another one. You gonna do it? Stop! That was awesome. I've never done a cow before.
Just tastes so much fresher.
I know, I feel like a caveman.
So, Eric, what'd you think?
Okay, so I think, you know, this is a very educational video to really help us see that animals, they are also living beings and they also deserve love. They are also very cute and they are also like one of us. So yeah, we shouldn't harm them, and what more for just to satisfy our greed, our taste buds, right? So I think really we gotta think, we gotta look harder deep into ourselves, like the last scene, and to ask ourselves what we are doing in our everyday life and to change our ways. So lastly, I'm going to end off with the stages of grief cycle. I think all of us are probably experiencing one of the stages of grief now, looking at what's happening, starting from shock, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance, and finally meaning. I do hope that we can all progress from the left to the right side. And I think Master has always been very advanced. She has already been in stage 6 and teaching us to view this crisis as, to give meaning to the crisis as a form of education for all of us. And I think we all have to go through the crisis no matter what, but let us make the most out of it by educating ourselves and other people, so that at least, you know, the lives and the people that have sacrificed their lives, we make it more worthwhile. So that's my sharing for today. Kanan.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for sister sharing. Actually, just want to give a short feedback regarding to the sister sharing. Actually, masters did say, in this world there's your way far. Actually, in your way far, actually, I think sister she give us a lot of the motivate the video clip, the short video clip regarding the animation of those cartoons or whatever, and try to pass a message. It's just like we call your way far with condition. And way far is the unconditioned. And actually, like Master says, the Buddha Dharma teaching is already the true principle is insists in this world for a long time ago. It's endless. It's just we human being cannot understand. So we need to do some action to get the link, so that there's a form to appearance, so that we can know. Just like the COVID-19, actually the germ or the bacteria is insist in the animal body, and they are of course assisted with each other very well. Just we human being, because of our delusion, so we are, you know, try to break the rules, and because of our action, and we are your way. So we are create this kind of disease, so that, you know, become a pandemic, and everyone get severe in the life. So I think it's back to the Dharma, what the Buddha say, is just like if you try to contemplate more deeply in what is the true principle, is like, is it we do the right action, so that we are create a good affinity, a great karma. If we are, you know, have a delusion thought, your way, but we are doing your way, but you are still, you know, with a delusion thought, so you can create a big karma. So I think this is the feedback for me. So anyway, thanks for everyone.
Today a lot of very heartfelt insights sharing. 感恩袁师傅，感恩黄师傅，感恩 Brother Joe， 感恩 Sister Sing Sing, and 感恩 all the brothers and sisters. We have almost 200 on board today. So much gratitude, words of gratitude beyond we could express, and